Today is Wednesday, December the 2nd. I am your host, Casey Phoenix, and this is my daily thought. I have to get straight to it. You know what? There is a channel, because I told you I listen to tarot card readings and astrology and things like that. And there's this awesome channel of this lady. She does coffee cup readings. And it's like she'll look into a coffee cup or into a plate with a coffee, I guess you could say coffee stain or something of that nature, and then she'll read what's in it. And the crazy thing is that usually she is on point with the energy. And I'm like, wow. And this week, for what she predicted in her coffee cup read, oh yeah, it's called Cognitive Universe. Check it out sometime. Cognitive Universe is what it is on YouTube. And she was saying, you're going to be busy this week, but in a good way. But you're just going to be really, really busy where you're having to do a lot of things. And it seems like that's what it's been like all week. And I didn't go, because anytime I listen to tarot card readings or I listen to astrology readings or whatever, I don't take it and then go into the week or the month like, oh, this is what's going to happen, because energy is fluid. It can change at any time, and it also can be affected by the actions that you take throughout your life, and your actions can affect the energy that is around you. It's just that energy may be available to you at that time, and whether you're able to utilize it or not, that's going to be up to you as an individual. But when I went into this week, I wasn't going into the week thinking, oh, well, it's going to be busy. I was just like, oh, I'm going to go into this week and I have a checklist of things I want to do and whatnot. But then all of the stuff just started adding up. Like, oh, I have to do this in addition to the checklist that I have, and do this and do this and do that and do that. And it's just crazy that this week has been like that. And it hasn't been a bad thing per se. It's been interesting, to say the least. So yeah, I'm just, excuse me, adjusting. So now that I've got that out the way, I'm going to dive right into my daily thought. Also, KIRWKC.com, main podcasting platform, now uploading episodes on IGTV. So if you're watching this on IGTV, shout out to you as well. KIRWKC on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook.com/KIRWKC. If you're watching this on YouTube or Daily Motion, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, followed by the notification bell for YouTube. That will let you know when I upload new videos. All right. Should you date your coworker? That is a good question. The strange thing is that workplaces, they have different rules, because some workplaces, it's in their employee handbook that employees can't, what they call, fraternize with each other, that they can't date each other. And in some companies, they don't care. They're just like, it is, it is what it is. For me, I've only crossed that line once. Yeah, I've only crossed that line once. I had to think. I've had a lot of jobs in my past before I became more stable as I got older. But actually, the joke used to be when I was younger, how many W-2s I would receive at the end of the year. But I didn't, yeah, it was just that one time, and it didn't work out. And luckily, the company I worked for, it was so large that I didn't really have to see that person. So yeah, that was really the only time. When it comes to it, they say the heart wants what the heart wants. And as I always say with all my caveats, everyone's an individual. You know what works for you. You know what you can handle physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, so on and so forth. You may want to make a list and do the traditional pros and cons list. And it's a thing of working with someone, because if you're dating them, obviously you will be seeing them outside work. And that's the thing. Even working with like family, because I worked with my mother until she fired me. But I worked with my mother for over 2 years. I worked for my mother. And it was extra because I had to deal with her at work. And I love my mother. I talked about my mother yesterday. I love my mother. Even though sometimes she thinks it's in question, I love my mother very much. But I would have to deal with her at work. And then I would have to deal with her when I got home. So I was around her a lot. And that requires a strong relationship. So if you're dating someone, you're dealing with them. And I was working part-time and stuff. I was working part-time for those who that's not clear on. So, but for those who are considering dating someone, you usually spend, if it's a full-time job, you usually spend 8 hours at work. If you are in that person's area where you will have to, I don't want to say congregate, converse or interact or whatever, where it's required that you're in the same department and you have to deal with each other on a regular basis. That's 8 hours right there. Then after work, you may have to deal with that person again. Now, if something goes wrong after work, then do you take that energy to work where you have to get something done, but that individual is still upset with you from what was said the night before? And all of that other stuff, which is, like I said, that's one reason why me personally, it's just not my thing. Have I had crushes on coworkers before? Of course, we're human. Just like coworkers have had crushes on me. And I've been approached before and I've been flirted with before. But usually I shoot it down, regardless of how I feel. Even when I did have an interest, I shoot it down is what I would do. Because I would think, I'm like, okay, if this goes left, what happens? And only that one time, because the individual, I was just like, okay, let's just see what happens. And he was so adorable. So I was just like, okay, fine. But it didn't work out. But I would watch people too, where they decide to work, date and work together, and it might work fine for a while, or it might create drama. I know people who had situations where marriages were affected. So it's just dating your coworker. My personal opinion, I can't tell you what to do because you're grown. My personal opinion is fight against the urge. Fight against the urge if you can. If your heart is saying, no, I think this person would be the one. I really, 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 I really may not want to miss this opportunity. I think I want to give it a go. Okay. Then, like I said, do the pros and cons. See where it goes. Or think about how long you're going to be on the job. If you're at a job and you know that this isn't your career where you're going to spend like 15, 20 years at the company, which people don't usually do that anymore these days anyway, is not like the old days where people will stay at a company like 20, 25, 30 years and retire. People don't do that now. But let's say that if you come to the conclusion that, hey, this isn't my career, as a matter of fact, I plan on being out of here in 6 months or a year or whatever. If you already know you have a plan to migrate to another place of employment, then that could be a pro section, is what that could be. Because it's like, all right, well, if it goes wrong, I'm not going to be here that much longer anyway. And also, like I said, you can check things. Are you in the same department? Does this person work in accounting? And do you work in processing? And I'm just making something up, or whatever. So is this person in the appraisal department? Is this person in the sales department? If that's the case, you may not even see each other like that. And that may be a good thing as a pro, where it's like, okay, we work together, but we barely see each other at work and we don't really have to interact with each other. But I find this individual attractive and they're into me too. And maybe I should ask that person out, or either that person asked you out. Okay, let's just go ahead and give it a go. And one of the other things is, when dealing with work, dating inside work, one of the huge things, and I should have mentioned this at the beginning, is talk. Now, if you have a huge ego and you don't care what people say about you, then it's whatever. However, if it goes back to, what is your career path at that job? If you're looking to be promoted in the future, if you're looking to grow in your position, if you are looking to build a strong reputation within the company, then if you date an employee, a coworker, and it doesn't work out, and everyone knows that you two were dating, then they find out it doesn't work out. It's like, okay, so who screwed up? And then everybody wants to be nosy. And then it's the talk of the town. It happens. I remember one job I worked at. I knew so much, I'll call it hearsay information, even though it was more than likely accurate, because some things people just knew about people's love lives, because they would date inside the company, even though it was a large company. And you had to keep that in mind when you're being interviewed for a promotion. Because if you've dated 3, 4, or 5 people and none of it worked out, and a manager is looking to promote you to supervisor and you're interviewing, but they know the talk, because people talk, that's what they do. They know the talk that, oh, well, this person's dated 4 or 5 people in the company. Then they might think, well, wow, if they become a supervisor, they may still continue dating people within the company. And if it's a subordinate to them, that could create an HR issue, and so on and so forth, and yada, yada, yada. So there's just a lot of things to keep in mind when dating a coworker. And that's why I said, because there are so many things for me personally to consider, I wouldn't. Now, would I do a one night stand with the coworker, I don't know. I I would have to think about it. It wouldn't be it when it comes to dating, that's more of a knee-jerk reaction. No. I'm not even looking to really weigh the pros and the cons. They would have to be out of this world for me to even consider dating them if I work with them. As for a one night stand, where it's understood, look, yeah, you keep your mouth shut, I keep my mouth shut. This is not going to be anything serious. This will probably be only a one time thing, and that'll be that. I'm not saying my answer would be yes, but my knee jerk reaction wouldn't be no. I would actually take time to really think about it. But if they're like, hey, you want to go out on a date? I'm like, no. It would probably come out before I can even, yeah, it is not happening. So those are just things to think about. And like I said, it's all depending on your employee handbook and everything else. But I do know of people who dated and they ended up married and it worked. It worked. Some people I know of, because I haven't talked to that many people that I used to talk to all the time, because I'm in my own little world now. But people that I know of, they're still married to the person they met on the job, which is amazing. And that's like 10 years. Yeah. Wow. 10 years later. So it's really interesting how all of that works, is what I'll say. So I just wanted to do a quick episode about that because I know people are faced with that sometimes. So I wanted to do that. So yeah, that's all I got. KIRWKC.com, main podcasting platform. KIRWKC on Twitter. I had to think. On Instagram, of course. And Facebook.com/KIRWKC. If you're watching this on YouTube or Daily Motion, don't forget to hit the subscribe button followed by the notification bell. And now episodes are being uploaded on IGTV. Thank you to everyone who's been supporting the show, listening to the podcast, watching the videos when you can. But as I always say, I seem to have more podcast listeners than watchers of my videos, which is it's fine. Whatever works. I still love you guys regardless. And shout out to the iHeart community. It's nice to be on the iHeart radio platform now. So if this is your first time listening as an iHeart listener, welcome, welcome, welcome. Until next time, be blessed.